Here's a quick training video on diagram dashboards. And today we're going to look at business process, and the dashboard we're going to make has record inspection, cross filtering, but also has this BPMN style. Really, you can do any style of business diagram. You could do a chip diagram, or you could do an airplane seating diagram, or you could do pretty much anything you can imagine flowing through either an SVG file that you bring into Illustrator, or you can use Illustrator to export any drawing or diagram and wire it to any piece of data. So it's very flexible. Let's jump into the details. So we'll start in row 64 and load our data as we always start. Here we're going to load business process, and this is basically a list of tasks. So you can see they're selling kitchen products, and there's a whole task list, which is basically the flow of this inventory management. The order comes in, flows to the inventory. This is a wait for inventory. If there's a missing part, then it's fulfilled, shipped, and the coordination happens. So this just tracks the process. Now we have this task ID code, which we made up ourselves. We just gave sort of a code, just the way there's a FIPS code or GeoID codes for Geo. We make up a code for the task ID here, and that's what we're going to wire our data into. Okay, so let's go make our diagram. So our dashboard. So to start off with, divide it in half, and we'll divide this in half. Kind of got this part right here. And this one we're going to divide in two, and the bottom part has like three little just kind of data kind of formulas, and we're going to have two charts over here. Okay, so that's looking good. We'll go into preview mode, and we're going to rename our thing tasks. Okay, and we'll drag that into the dashboards. Okay, so we got the first piece. The next piece, we want to get the diagram itself. So how do we do that? So if we look at the example data we've got, it comes with an Adobe Illustrator file here, and there's an exporter from Illustrator. So if we double click on this, and we have Illustrator involved, we'll see in Illustrator we have broken out these three layers. And so that's what you want to do, is break out the layers that you want to bring into the Geo, and then construct your diagram. And to export it, we have this open source Illustrator exporter to GeoJSON, and it takes the Illustrator file. You can get this online at the row 64 GitHub. Go download this, and this is really this file, this Illustrator to geojson.jsx. When you're in Illustrator, you're going to put each layer on and go File, Script, Other Script, and then you're just going to navigate to that file, and it'll export that file name. Then you export the next one, then you export the next one, and you can break them apart and you can see here's what it's going to produce, just these little JSON files that are GeoJSON. Now there are a couple caveats that you got to kind of watch for. What you want to do, and it explains it here, is break it into layers, and when you have text, you want to create outlines on your text, and when you have lines, you want to grab your lines, and then you're just going to want to go object path outline stroke, because if you have these like variable line width, that's just the easy way to get all this like really fine detail across, so that all these pieces come together perfectly. Okay, so that's kind of it. So let's say we've exported all these JSON files. We're going to bring them into our diagram. So let's make chart, new Geo2D. So Geo2D is the diagram, but instead of Mercator projection, we're not doing Geo. We're just going to set the projection to none. Mercator looks great on maps. That's what Google Maps uses and all this stuff, but it's a distortion on your diagram. We just want the diagram as is. So we're going to drag in the process here, and you can see looks great. And next we're going to drag in our lanes, which is sort of the layer below it. I'll move it below. Oops, I hit delete. I'll just drag it in. Okay, move it below. Okay, and make it a little darker. So you can see we could assign like a color per layer. So that's one of the reasons you want to break the layers apart, is for shading. The other reason to break them apart is to do this color coding that happens with the IDs. So I'm going to load the tasks next, and you can see I'm going to move that down at the bottom. there we have our geo IDs. Now, I didn't explain this, but if you want to connect data, the way you do it here in Illustrator is you give it this name underscore geo ID underscore, and then the name is going to be its code. We actually explain that here in the doc, how to tag the geo IDs, and this becomes what you connect to with your data. Okay, so, and you can see these ETA, EMC, CMP, those codes that I'm bringing in are exactly these codes here. That is the task ID. Okay, so let's go back to our thing, and what we want to do is turn the GeoID on, and already you can see like we've color coded. It just randomly color codes them at first, so we need to wire up the data. So we'll put the locations to our task ID, and we'll put the color values to actually we want to group them together first. So we want to group together these task IDs to the amount. So we could track it by count of orders or duration, or wire it up however we want, but you want to pull them together. So I'm going to group sum all the IDs, and then this is the sum of the inventory, like the amount, the value flowing through all these tasks. So then I can take that and then wire our dashboard here. I'll put the dashboard over to one side, and then we can just click edit, and then I can wire that up. I'll just pull it down. So the locations is going to go to here, and the color values is going to go to here. And now you can see we're color coded. So the main flow here, I'm going to flip it. So the primary flow is through the fulfillment with no inventory check, then some inventory check, some wait for inventory. So we want to get a different color for that. Like we could say these are the blue is the red is the hot areas, blue is the cold areas, you know, that kind of thing. Simple one would just be to color code here and just take a little bit of here just to get subtle of on this one. Okay, and then do a blend. And then so we can see this kind of like a heat map of where the primary flow of orders. This is a simple example, but the primary flow is the order with no check, and then this wait for inventory is like a lesser kind of loop there. Okay, so we've got that all wired up. Let's put it into our dashboard. We just drag it in, and you can see it doesn't fit the window perfectly. So we want to treat it the same we would with the geo. It's just to put a camera. So I'll just call it process, and we'll just put a window for our camera view here, and close that. And then when we look at our dashboard, it fits perfectly. Okay, so now let's start to fill out the data here. So in this window, we want to, hold on. We're going to get back to our picture of our diagram. We want to connect the task to the duration. So we go to our data and say, okay, here's our task name, and here's our duration. Let's group sum them. Actually, we want to group average. Okay, because it's the, oh no, it's the, this one is the, let's see, what is it? Chart. Is it the average? No, it's, yeah, it is. It is the, I think I group summed it, but the, here we can do a group sum. We could do it either way. I mean, you can wire up the data however you want. Okay. And update. Okay, it's kind of the same either way anyways. So we're going to set this, let's just drag it in to our dashboard and control click on it, and then change the settings. Obviously we want this horizontal, and we want to sort it. We can see it over here, and we want to match the colors of the other diagram. But you can basically just pull the metadata about your flow graph or your business process over here. I hit F4 again to full screen it. Okay, so now let's do the average task duration per quarter. Okay, so we're going to take the task duration per quarter. We've got our quarter data here, Okay, crosslink, average. This one's the average one. And chart bar create, drag it into the dashboard. Control click it, settings, shape, eyedropper, this color off again, just so they all line up. I think we lowered the bar width slightly on that one just to look a little better. Click on this window, hit F4, we're back. Okay, so we almost have our dashboard done. We just want to pull some data. So these are more complicated formulas we have. Number of inventory checks. Okay, so let's do this one. Number of inventory checks. So to count this one, we're going to do a COUNTIF equals COUNTIF, and we're going to pick this column here of the tasks. So we're going to take the ID here. I'll drag this over to this side just so we can work on here and lift off our details, because this gets a little tricky. So COUNTIF, our task code here, our task ID, okay, is going to equal to this wait for inventory, and if so, we're going to grab the duration. Okay, count that duration. And COUNTIF, oh, sorry, this one is just CHI. Okay, I got the next one we're doing. And you have to type these formulas correctly. It's just like Excel. Okay, so the number of inventory checks, we don't want the 0 on the bottom. Okay, the next one is the average inventory delay in days. Okay, average inventory delay in days, which is also tricky. So these are kind of tricky. So we're going to say this one is average if, and you have to check your Excel syntax. There's a million articles. So same thing, we're going to track this task ID, and this one is wait for inventory. We've got to put it equals. Okay, and if so, we're going to take the duration. Okay, close that up. Now, the issue is this is in hours, and we want to move it to days. So we've got to divide that by 24. Sorry, it is in days. Yeah, it's in hours, and we want to move it to days. So then we divide it by 24. That worked good. Now this one, final one. We want to figure out the max inventory delay in days. So this is kind of important. You want to say, look at the metrics of your process and see at a big picture what's going on. I know a lot of inventory management software, they have these kind of dashboards, but this pulls it out and allows you to link data from all over your company in different processes, cross-filter, look at efficiency in a new way that is kind of pulls everything out and more powerfully. So we'll say this one is max ifs IFS, which has a slightly different syntax. So now we're going to pick this one, okay, which is the duration, and we're gonna filter this one by equals wait for inventory. Okay, we got that, but the same problem. That is in hours, and we want it in days, so we divide by 24. All right, we got it. So that's a good example of more complex analysis with the formulas, and we'll publish this online. Here we go, business process 01, publish, and there you go. So you can see it's cross-filtering live, and you have a really good sense of how diagrams and records and formulas, they all come together. I hope you found this helpful.